Hi everybody, welcome to Think Differently Thursday again on this lovely sunny week. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine. My name's Helen, part of the Forge Church, and again I've lowered the bar on the ages of people I'm talking to. I've got someone young again. Hiya Nathan.
Hi Helen, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well. I'm enjoying the sunshine.
Are you a sunshine person? Is it your what's your preferred weather?
Oh yeah, definitely sunshine. Yeah, definitely sunshine. When it's rainy and cold, it sort of annoys me. So I love the sunshine. You get people that sort of say, "Oh, it's way too hot. It's uncomfortable," but no, I love it.
Yeah, I do too. So I'm trying really hard not to say it's too hot, because I just think actually, even if it's too hot, I would prefer this to anything else. I love it. I think it literally makes me happier. I think just like seeing the sunshine, opening the doors. Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, me too.
Now, before we talk anymore, maybe you should just introduce yourself. Maybe just tell us, I don't know, one thing about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Nathan. I live in a little village called Yaxley, which is just outside Eye in Suffolk. So I'm 23. Yeah, and I attend the Forge.
Real. And before we go any further, we have to say huge congratulations, because you recently got engaged to the lovely Lauren, didn't you?
I did, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. So
congratulations. Yeah. Tell us about the proposal. Was it super romantic?
Yeah, it was actually. I think I kind of pulled it out of the bag, to be fair. I think I did quite well. So we'd sort of gone away on holiday for a few nights in Munsley, which is like a little village on the Norfolk coast. And my plan originally was we were hiring a boat out on the Norfolk Broads on one of the days. So my plan was to tie in with that, maybe have like a little picnic, with moor up the boat somewhere, have a little picnic and do it there. But on the night before that, we went on a walk just in Munsley, and we found a really nice walk, which was sort of on top of a cliff overlooking the sea.
Right.
And I thought, this is perfect. So on the boat tomorrow and get Lauren to come on another walk tomorrow night, and I'll do it then. So.
Lovely. And had you kept it secret, or had you did your parents know? Had you told anybody?
Yeah, so I told my parents, and my best mate as well. So it was kind of, but a few people knew.
Lovely. And did she say yes?
She did, thank you.
Wouldn't be much of a story if she didn't, would it? You've just reminded me, saying about the boat. Friends of mine many years ago were abroad, and he planned to propose while they went out on a boat. I think they were out, her real thing was dolphins, and she'd always wanted to see dolphins. And so they went out on this dolphin trip, and he was going to propose. She was so seasick, she just spent the entire trip throwing up over the side of the boat. so they didn't propose till a bit later. I'd forgotten about that story.
I was really nervous because I took the ring with me on the boat just in case. I thought I would do it then. So I was really nervous about dropping it in the water. I thought I would just drop it in the water. I didn't.
So what are the plans? Is this a long engagement, short engagement? Have you got plans? Have you made any kind of dates? Sorry about all the girly questions. I'm sorry, but I know people want to
know. So we haven't set a date just yet, but we're hoping for a Saturday next summer.
Okay.
The plan. So I'm not really sure. I think that's kind of normal, isn't it? A year. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's the plan so far. We're kind of conscious to try and get something booked up as soon as, because there may well have been some weddings, but
yes, yeah, lots of people trying to do their postponed weddings as well. Lovely.
It's a bit sort of stressful getting the initial venue and date set, and then after that hopefully we can enjoy the planning after that.
Yeah, so your families will be in full scale wedding prep mode.
That's it. Yeah, they will.
I did see Graham Thomas the other night. So when you're not proposing to Lauren, what do you do? Tell us about your job. What do you do for work?
So I work for a football club in Bury, called Sporting 87. So it's a Christian football club actually. So that was the sort of thing that initially drew me towards it. But my role within the club is I kind of do all the admin in the office. So One of my main roles actually is we have about 60 coaches. So my role is to sort of look after the coaches and make sure that they're happy with their teams and happy with what they're doing, and giving them support sort of technically as well as practically and admin wise. So yeah, most of my time.
Sounds like a dream job. If you are someone of your age and a footballer, being involved like for work, being paid to be involved with a football team just sounds like an absolute dream. Was this kind of a path that you kind of followed, something you pursued, or was it something that kind of was knowing the right people at the right time? How did this all come about?
Yeah, so I think it was definitely the latter. It was definitely knowing the right person at the right time. So I've always loved football and always had a passion for football. When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be a professional footballer. But when I got to sort of the age of like 13, 14 and realised actually I'm not good enough. So I thought, how can I find something else in football to kind of stay involved in it, but also be paid to do it? So fortunately, I knew the guy who's my boss now, a guy called John, who sort of heads up Sporting 87. So when I left school at the age of 18 after my A-levels, I sort of decided that I didn't want to do uni, I didn't want to go to uni, but I wanted to try and get some work in football somehow. So I had a conversation with John and he said that, yeah, we've got some opportunities here at Sporting. So initially I started off just coaching.
Right.
So I'd go into schools, do lunchtime clubs and after school clubs, and do some other sort of stuff coaching stuff in the evenings. But since then, my role has kind of evolved. So actually now I don't do any coaching.
Right.
I'm more sort of organisational and looking after the coaches rather than actually out there coaching. So.
Sounds immense, like 60 coaches. I hadn't kind of realised how massive the whole organisation was. So you've explained a bit about your role. So what would that involve? Like on a typical day, what would your day be with Sporting 87?
So it kind of changes depending on what time of year it is. So
okay.
At the moment we're kind of in pre-season. So season doesn't start until the middle of August for the adults, and then the beginning of September for youth.
Right.
So at the moment all focus is on just getting players signed on with the FA. So every year it's a big task. We've got about 650 players on our system. So
wow.
Every year, this kind of time of year, sort of July time, we have to get them registered with the FA and things like that. So
right.
That's kind of my day to day at the minute. But also trying to balance helping the coaches as they start training next week, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, new coaches that have come in and things like that, and coaches that have left. So a lot of organisation with different teams and things like that. So
right, sounds really interesting. And the team or the organisation, didn't it come from a team that was playing back in 1987? Isn't that the kind of roots of it? I think I can remember Sporting 87, like when I was a teenager, and as a football team. And I think Steve Fenning, who is our senior leader at church, I'm sure he played for Sporting 87, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have done, actually. Yeah, he may well have done. So it's the club started off as just one team, like you say, in 1987. And I think Steve played. His son Sam now plays in the first team with me. So
right.
Yeah, if that is the case, then it's quite cool how Steve played back in 1987 and now Sam plays. But
yeah, I might be wrong, but I certainly remember, the team around at that sort of time. And I spoke to Pete Warnock from church recently on Think Differently, and he told me a bit about his role with you guys. And I was really amazed at the size of it. So to think that it's grown from just that one football team to this organisation that, by the sounds of what you were saying, that you were previously doing, that goes into schools and just has so many coaches and so many teams. It's a massive organisation now then, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, it's kind of like a little business, really. We have to kind of run it in that way. It's grown a lot even in the past sort of 5 years since I've been there.
Right.
So there's been lots of changes, with FA systems and things have updated.
I'm so sorry, that's my home phone ringing. It has a ridiculous sound. And it will ring for a little while. We'll pretend it's not happening and we'll just keep talking. Keep talking, Natalie.
That's fine. So yeah, it's grown loads even just recently. So we've actually got a new chairman that's come on board over the last sort of couple of years, a guy called Dave Courtine, who's also part of the Forge. We recognised a couple of years ago that the chairman before Graham actually was the chairman before Graham Thompson, father-in-law. Graham was great. He's got lots of experience in business and was very close to the club. He played for the club when he was younger. But we sort of got to the point where Graham was stepping back, so we knew that he wasn't going to be involved anymore. And we thought that it'd be really great to carry on that kind of business mentality and have someone that has got experience in business. And Dave, we asked Dave just kind of as a shot in the dark, thinking that he's going to be way too busy. But yeah, thankfully he said that he would be more than happy to help and come on as chairman, and his experience in his health clubs that he's been running. So yeah, it's been brilliant for us. It's sort of kind of helped us take us on to that next level, really. And the experience of Dave behind us has massively helped over the last couple of years.
Great, fantastic. And not only do you work for them, I mean, you play for the team. You just said you play for the first team as well, don't you? And yeah. I think, because I have done my research, Nathan, top goal scorer this year.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I actually, it's a bit awkward because I put the social media post up to say that I won the award myself. I tried to play it down, but on reflection, I feel like I should have bigged it up. So, I mean, actually, I've won top scorer for the last 3 years in a row, but I felt like I couldn't put that down.
Oh, that's a shame. Because if you were doing it about someone else, you would, wouldn't you?
But I felt I had to play it down. Some people know that it's me doing it. So.
That's quite an achievement, though. So how many goals does that mean you've scored in the season if you're top goal scorer?
Well, I mean, over the last couple of years, it's been a bit different. So
of course.
We played 10 games last year.
Right.
So we obviously had the month lockdown in, was it November? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we didn't play at all from Christmas until April. So I only played 10 games and scored 8 goals last season.
Wow, that's not bad. So what did happen? Oh, this might be a real girly question that maybe I shouldn't even ask. So what happened then with restrictions? Like, so obviously you didn't play games. Did you then have to try and catch up on games, or were they just like nulled? You just weren't counted, as it were? What happened about like the various leagues?
Yeah, so they were just null and voided. So wherever we'd got to. So the first year we were affected, obviously it was kind of March time, wasn't it? But where we came to the initial lockdown. And the season usually finishes end of April, beginning of May. So it was quite frustrating that we only had probably about a month to 6 weeks left of the season.
Yeah.
When we were in a lockdown and we had to just cancel all the games. And then last year was even more broken up and a bit of a mess. So we only managed to play, I think it was 6 or 7 league games. And then when we came back after lockdown in April, they kind of said that the league's finished, but we'll carry on playing the cup games.
Right.
Which was quite nice because it meant that we still kind of had something to play for when we came back. We knew that the league was done. But we won a few cup games. So we got to the semi-final of that, which was quite nice because we had something to play. Everyone else was sort of not being able to play competitive games. So
I know this year has been different, but I actually think it's a bit of a myth that the football season comes to an end. I used to be married to someone that was a footballer. I have a son that is a footballer. I don't think that season ever finishes. I think something finishes and then you play cup games and then you do pre-season training. I never actually saw it finished anywhere. It's a myth. It's a myth.
You'll notice that when I said earlier about when our wedding's going to be next year, I said summer. So that's hopefully in that short period of time where the football season's finished. Which I'm sure you've been used to.
Yeah, but I know how important it is. I would never dare say it's just a game. I know it's not.
Oh, no, you can't say
that. I know. Oh, I hope all my friends are listening to me talking about football. Do you know what I did for the first time in my entire life? When it was the Euro final, I invited friends round to come and watch the football.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
there were 4 girls in my house watching the final. Never done that before in my life.
Amazing.
um, so yeah, like actually, I'm saying that, but I know that women's football is like it's a bigger thing now, isn't it? When I was a child, I've got brothers that played football. It wasn't even just wasn't a thing that I'd have played football, and then over the years it became more of a thing, but a difficult thing. It was something that didn't have, priority or high profile at all. That's really changing, isn't it? And yeah, even like I don't follow football, but what I see on the telly is like they talk about it in a very similar way. Is it something that you see as always improving and kind of bringing equality in the game?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's been a big push from the FA to promote girls and women's football recently. So it's definitely much more kind of talked about, and girls, it's way more kind of accepted, I guess. So we have just at Sporting, we have a sort of girls' evening on a Friday night where we have about 40 girls come and play, and it looks different to what the mixed teams do, because there are some girls that it's not called boys teams, it's mixed teams. So there are some of the girls who would like to play with the boys as well, so they go into the mixed teams. But this Friday night session where we've got about 40 girls is girls only, and they love it because there's no pressure of there's no kind of like league tables, or there's no pressure to win games. They're not pushed to they're not pushed based on results and pressured based on results. They just kind of play and have a laugh with some friends. You've got some girls that are really good and really enjoy it, and you've got some girls that are totally new to it and never done it before, but also enjoy it the same because they're having a kickabout with some mates, some friends from school, or they've made some new friends through football. So it's definitely on the up. I think there's still a long way to go with girls football.
Right.
There's still kind of a little bit of a stereotype attached, but definitely over the last few years, the FA especially have been really good in trying to promote girls to play. And I think with that in mind, that will kind of have a bit of a knock-on effect as they get older. So if you promote girls playing football and having fun, and it being normal for girls to play football when they're young, get way more girls carry on to when they're in their teens and when they play adults. So
I noticed that in school. So I teach in a primary school in Ipswich, and so if you play football, it's just you play football. It doesn't actually matter if you're a boy or a girl. It's just it's encouraged over. Let's just go back to the final. I was going to ask you, so who did you watch with? Where were you when it was the Euro final?
So I was at home. Quite a few of my mates were sort of going to the pub to watch it, but I thought I need to kind of be in front of the TV and focus on the game. There was so much pressure. I couldn't be around too many people. So it was just me, my mum, dad, and my best mate came over. So watched it here. It was absolutely gutting. I was so gutted, but
just to literally the last kick of the ball, it was so tense, wasn't it?
The fact that it started so well as well.
Yes.
So there was obviously that elation of scoring in the second minute or whatever it was, and you were buzzing, thinking this is going to be the time. But then the moment you sit down and stop jumping around, you realise we've got 88 minutes left and the rest of trying to hold out. So I knew once it had gone to penalties, I knew that we didn't have a chance. But it was absolutely gutting.
But I love the big competitions, and it's World Cup next year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a different World Cup next year. It's in the winter, I think. So.
Oh, is it? So it won't be summer. You haven't got to avoid that with your wedding.
No, exactly. So perfect, isn't it? Yeah. So kind of like middle of November to middle of December.
Right.
So it's in Qatar. So if they did it in the summer, it'd just be way too hot.
Cool.
Right.
Didn't realise that. And of course, the whole Euro final has been completely blighted by all that appalling racism after the match. And I think in a sense, it sort of took over the coverage, didn't it? That became the thing that was being commented on and reported on. Is it something that you as a club have to be very vigilant about? Is racism in sport where you are is a thing?
It's definitely a thing. It's a thing, I think, everywhere. It's kind of heightened in the sense with football, because football was the thing that everyone was talking about when the Euros was on, especially when England did so well and got to the final. But you know, everyone knows that it's not just a football problem; it's a society problem, but only publicised and heightened because of the football that was going on at the time. I think a club in Bury St Edmunds in Suffolk, probably we don't have as many sort of issues with that week to week, but there's certainly been situations in the past that we've had to deal with and things that have gone on. So yeah, I mean, it's funny you should say that you spoke to Pete a few weeks ago. We kind of got him on board at the beginning of last season. He's kind of our sort of respect guru. So yeah, there's a whole big push from the FA to try and promote respect in football, and discrimination comes into that. So Pete's our go-to with that, and he helps us kind of educate as well as control situations and act on situations that have happened with the club. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's definitely an issue, but possibly not as frequently being where we are compared to elsewhere in the country. So.
Yeah, and I know, lots of clubs, all clubs across the country would be trying to be vigilant about racism and stamp it out. Your club, and I think you said earlier, I think you called it a Christian football club, so it's clearly got a Christian ethos. I'm guessing you don't have to be a Christian to play for the teams, but just tell me about that kind of ethos, how that works throughout the club.
Yeah, so it's like I said, we're a Christian football club, but we're not sort of like a Christian exclusive club. So say, I mean, I reckon across the whole club, 10%, if that, are Christian, I think. But so there's 4 staff in the office. We're all Christians, and all of the committee are also Christian. So it's a club that has a Christian mindset and ethos and is kind of run by Christian people, but it's not for Christians, if that makes sense, exclusively anyway. So, I mean, the first team, the team that I play in, there's probably 4 or 5 of us that go to church that we call ourselves Christians, but the majority of the squad aren't.
Okay.
So it's kind of subtle in a way. People generally know what we're about and know our ethos and the fact that we're a Christian club, but the way we kind of do things, I mean, for example, if you went to watch a Sporting 87 first team game, it's not, you know, there's still some fruity language. People are still referee when they don't get the right decision, things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, one example of how my team do things a little bit differently is before every game, when we're in the change rooms, once we change and ready to go out, we do something called the bottle round, which is where we pass a bottle around. People sit in a circle. We pass a bottle around and just go through how our week's been. So give highlights and some lows that have happened in our week. And sort of instantly from that, you know, before the game's even started, people are treated as people and not just players. We're interested in each other's lives and what's going on. They're not just teammates. They're also friends and people that we care about. So
yeah. Oh, that sounds really great. And I know in looking at the website that your strapline was about being better at football, but being better at life too. And I guess, you know, that isn't true of all football clubs. I guess a lot of football clubs, you would turn up, you would play your game, you'd enjoy your game, you might have a beer afterwards, and then you would go home again. But Sporting 87 has this strapline about being better at life too. So how does that work itself out? How do you help kids or adults to be better at life? I mean, even just that bottle round sounds like that's a great thing for people to feel valued and to feel known, really. Are there other things that you kind of have in place?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, like you said, in football, to care for someone as an individual and to be interested in their lives outside of football is so kind of countercultural in the football world. People, it's such a competitive, heated environment at times that And it's kind of results based as well. So people don't really care who you are or what you're into. People just care about how good you are at football and, you know, what the score was on a Saturday afternoon. So there are a few things that we do. So, for example, we've got quite good connections with agencies that help with addiction and mental health issues and things like that. So, I can tell you numerous times of people that have struggled with or continue to struggle with mental health that we've been able to do our best and support those people. People that struggle with addictions, drugs, alcohol, things like that, that we can direct and chat to. So we've also got a sort of a uni student support thing going on as well. So some players that, you know, when they get to 18 and they stop playing with the club at youth level and they go off to uni, as a club, we try and keep in contact with those people and make sure they're doing all right. And if they're Christian guys or girls, that we try and help them get in touch with the church and help them that way. So yeah, for us, it goes beyond just seeing people as players, but seeing people as what they are. Also.
That sounds amazing. That does sound like really, almost like being like the church should be, just like investing in people and seeing people as whole people. And particularly if they're a bit broken and need some kind of pointers and help. That sounds amazing. I kind of think we often as Christians talk about sharing our faith, don't we? And I think the best way to do that is to be amongst friends, isn't it? Doing the thing that you love doing. I think we're often called to do the thing that we don't love doing. I think it's often do the thing that you love doing and be in that place, and by your actions and your conversations, that's how you share a bit of who Jesus is. And I know you're not there to,
in terms of, it's like, I mean, I personally find it really difficult just to talk to someone about church, about God, but actually if I've already built up that relationship with them by chatting about football and by, you know, playing with them on a Saturday afternoon, I feel like that awkward initial part is kind of done. And once you've got that close relationship with someone through something like football, it's, you know, normal for them to ask questions about church and to be, you know, interested in what I do on a Sunday morning and things like that. So
I think that's really key, isn't it? And as you say, it just makes it an easier conversation because you've already built up a relationship. You've already earned the right, almost, I think, to be sharing something more about what you believe. Yeah, that's really interesting. I know you grew up in a Christian family, because I know your family and your dad was a really influential leader at our church for a number of years. So for you, how was that experience of growing up in a Christian home?
Yeah, it was good. It's kind of I've kind of not known any different. So like, Dad was a big part of the church. So whenever we would go to church, especially when I was kids, that I always had people come up to me and know exactly who I was and say, "Oh, Nathan, how you doing?" I had absolutely no idea. So I got that all the time. It was kind of, there was a few occasions at school where my teachers knew what my dad did for a job. So every time I'd misbehave or get a detention or something like that, they would say, "Your dad would be so disappointed in you," you know, because they knew exactly what he did. And so that got a little bit frustrating because that's got nothing to do with it really. But I guess it's kind of all I've known. So
Yeah. And so at some point, so you've grown up in this Christian family, and at some point you've made that decision for yourself, rather than, you can't just like ride off the back of that, we know. So for you, would you remember like a day and a time where you kind of decided, I want to be a Christian too, I want to be a follower of Jesus? Or has it been just like a gradual thing for you that you've taken on board?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's definitely been a gradual thing. It's been a process, and actually it's not finished yet. It's still kind of I definitely call myself a Christian and definitely have a faith, but it's not there yet. My relationship with God is kind of, as it is with everyone, it's kind of still working, isn't it? So, but there's definitely been moments in my life where God has been really kind of real and really close to what I've been doing. So one example of that is when I was 19, I went to America with work, actually. We've got like a partnership over there with an American soccer agency.
Tough job. Tough job.
So yeah, I was fortunate enough to go out to America for 2 months and work and put on some soccer camps over there. But it was kind of the first time, it was the first time I'd been on a plane by myself, the first time I was still living at home. So I hadn't really had the experience of, you know, going to uni and that sort of scary part of moving out or being away from home for an extended period of time, and having that sort of instant responsibility. So that was a big moment for me in my life. There was just things, you know, for example, when I was at the airport, I was walking completely the wrong way. I didn't know what I was doing when I was in America. I was kind of stressed out because if you've ever been to America, you'll know that the border control is really strict.
Yeah.
It feels like they ask every question about you, and they know you really well after you've had this sort of intense them. But yeah, so I was just completely lost, a bit flustered, and someone came up to me and just said, "Hey, I've seen the tag on your bag. We're both flying to Cincinnati, so do you want to come with me and I'll show you where the gate is," and things like that.
Oh.
And I just thought, like, could be a coincidence, but I don't think so. I think that's kind of deliberate. God has helped me settle and relax in that way through that person. So
yeah, amazing.
Whilst I was there, I was working with kids, running soccer camps, and some of the stories with the kids and seeing them come to camp, you know, from all sorts of backgrounds, and just having a great time with camp and sharing our faith with them was really helpful, and part of my life. So
I think we often grow in our faith, don't we, when we are doing something that's a bit out of our comfort zone as well. I think we go one of two ways, and I think if we find ourselves leaning in closer to God, I'm sure those experiences shape us and mold us. And I think you've said it already, that you're not there yet, I think is how you phrased it, and I think that's so true. I despair sometimes when people think that we think as Christians that we've arrived or we've got it all sorted. It's just a constant journey, isn't it, Nathan? We're just like learning and growing and deepening our faith. But I think this particularly lockdown has been a really indicative time of, like, particularly because we couldn't meet in the same way as church, that we've needed to own it for ourselves in a bigger way and ensure that we are growing ourselves and putting in time with that relationship with God. Are there things that you do that are good for you? I mean, what ways do you kind of connect with God? What works for you?
Yeah, so I guess I'm quite fortunate with work in that I work for a Christian organisation, so I'm with it. I kind of live it out day to day in work. So, but I mean, for people that don't work in, you know, Christian settings, I've also got a few mates that we meet together on every other Friday night, and we have some food and we chat about life. And at the moment, we're watching some videos which is sort of specifically designed for men's group,
right?
Groups that talking about how we should fight like God and Jesus fought. So yeah, things like that, meeting with friends. My fiance Lauren is also a Christian, so she's an inspiration with me in terms of how her relationship with God and things like that. So I'm not really one I don't really like reading, so sitting down reading the Bible for me, I'd struggle with that. Being with close friends talking about life, being with Lauren talking about life is much more my sweet spot, and I feel like I get more out of that. I feel like I get more out of that than going to church on a Sunday. Sort of close connection, that close conversation with people, I feel like I get much more out of.
I think we can't underestimate the strength and what we get from being surrounded by people that are walking life with us and speak really wise things into our lives, or challenge us as well. I think at times just, call us out on stuff, and yeah, so good. I'm so glad you're doing that with some friends. That's brilliant, really brilliant. So we've talked football. I think I came across as quite knowledgeable.
Yeah, you did well.
And we've talked about faith a bit. So what else fills your life, Nathan? What else ticks your box?
Well, the last couple of weeks has been wedding planning, but
you'll be an expert. Sure. You'll be an expert over the next 6 months.
Exactly, yeah, and I'm sure that will carry on throughout the rest of the year. But I love playing golf. as well. So yeah, I'm quite big into sport. So yeah, I love playing golf, especially for that very short period of time, like you said, when there's no football in the summer months. Golf is golf is brilliant because I can play that in the summer. Only fairly recently got into that, but again, that's a brilliant thing to do with mates. It's kind of like it's going for a walk for 3 or 4 hours, but kind of a purpose to it as well, and a bit of competition to it, which is always fun. So yeah, I love golf as well.
Fab. Have you watched anything? Are you someone that watches like series or box sets and stuff? Have you watched anything really good over the last year? What would you recommend?
Oh yeah, we've watched some stuff. I'm trying to think. So recently, me and Lauren finished Line of Duty.
Oh, see, I've never ever watched it. I feel I should. I think I might be the only person that hasn't. It's going to be such an investment of time for me though to start now.
It will be, yeah. Once you watch a few, you'll be caught.
That's what they say. Yeah.
We really enjoyed that. That was really good. I think my favorite TV series is Prison Break. Have you seen?
Okay. No, I haven't.
I'm pretty sure that's still on Netflix. It's about a guy whose brother is wrongly accused of a murder and is in prison and on death row, basically. So what is he deliberately gets caught robbing a bank, so gets put in the same prison as his brother, and tries to break him out before he's killed, basically. So
wow, based on a true story or not?
I don't think so.
Okay,
but
I did watch Sean Bean in Time recently. Did you see that? It's just like, I think it's just 4-part series about prison, but it was a bit traumatizing just how awful prison is. It was just but maybe I'll watch Prison Break. And so restrictions, I'm a bit loath to say restrictions are easing in theory. And summer's ahead of us and it's sunny. What does the summer hold for you?
So I'm going away this weekend actually with some friends for the weekend. So
nice.
That'll be nice. And then going away with Lauren's family in the middle of August as well. Usually me and Lauren have been involved in Suffolk Christian camps at Sizewell.
Okay.
So usually our kind of summer is dictated by, the first week we're helping out at junior camp or whatever. But unfortunately they haven't been able to run this year. So we've got a few holidays booked, which will be nice. So.
Sounds lovely. I think for people that, part of their year is always camps and them not happening, that's a massive void, isn't it? To not be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, Lauren's way more. I've only been going for probably 4 or 5 years, but Lauren's done it since she was a kid, so it's all she can. She would always go to camp in the summer, and her mum has always cooked, so it's kind of a bit of a family thing for them. Yeah, she said it's been really weird for her for the last 2 years not being able to go to camp and see some people that she only ever sees once a year at camp. I think she's found it very difficult.
They'll be doing extra wedding prep.
Plenty more time.
Wedding. It's really great to talk to you, Nathan. I'm really grateful that you've given me some time, and it's been really, really interesting to talk to you. Just as a final question, there might be people listening who are old enough, like me, to remember the beginnings of sport in 87, or even who could just remember 1987, which, if I've done my maths right, is 34 years ago. Time flies, believe me. So in another 34 years, you will be 57, sporting 57. That's my little joke. So what would you, it's a big question, Nathan, it's a big question. What would you hope to look back on at the age of 57? If you could look back and that's been good, what would it be?
That's a big question.
It's a nice, easy question.
I guess from a personal point of view, the next year or so is going to be really exciting, getting married and getting a home, a house and stuff. So I would love that in 57, when I'm 57 in however many years time, that I can look back on a really happy marriage and family, if that's what's supposed to happen. So maybe from a work point of view, kind of build on what I've started from a young age and connect with people that don't have anything to do with church or don't have anything to do with God through football and through sport. It's kind of my sweet spot. So to be in a position where I could do that for the next 34 years would be great, whether that's in Suffolk with Sporting 87 or whether that's elsewhere. Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like I'm here to do. So yeah, I'd love to be able to look back on some times, yeah, doing that.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, really does. And yeah, really wish you well with all of that, particularly a year of wedding planning. Yeah, just hope that all falls into place really seamlessly for you. And again, yeah, I've really loved talking to you, and I think what you do and what your heart is just wonderful. So really wish you well. But thank you for giving me your time today. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.